I don't know why you feel you have to give me a visual cue. Okay, we're on. We're live.
That was kind of loud.
It
I'm
was.
feeling it.
hmm hmm
Go ahead, babe.
So hey everyone, we are back with Meet the Denistons. It's been a minute, huh?
Is that slang?
That it's been a minute. How's that slang? That's just normal everyday speak. It's been a while. It's been a minute. We've been on like a summer slide, I think.
We've been on hiatus.
On hiatus, yeah, yeah.
We weren't canceled, okay?
Yes, not yet, not yet. Soon come.
No. We don't want to be
We don't want
canceled.
to be canceled.
No.
Listen, no one can cancel us. Only the Lord can cancel us.
Oh snap!
That's
Preach!
right.
This
Mhm.
man does not even have his collar on. Preach!
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah, it's been a while. It's good to be back. We've been saying that we should, tape for a while now. We just haven't gotten around to it.
We've been lapsed though. We've been lapsed in how we show up for church. So
Mhm.
we're doing church virtually, but we have been lapsed
Yeah.
in terms of how we show up. We haven't been.
Hasn't been on the same rigor with the schedule.
Yeah.
That's
We
true.
haven't been. We've been starting late,
Mhm.
right? So let's start it at 9. Church starts
Mhm.
at 8. And
Right.
we'll-
Well, for us, early service because we've traditionally attended early service, but there are 3 services still.
Yeah,
Right.
but we've been pausing the live stream so that it's convenient to what we're doing, and
Mhm.
more and more
Mhm.
what we're doing is
Mhm.
eating
Listen,
into that.
I think my
rigor.
tank top is exposing a little too much here.
It's indecent.
Right. All right, I think that's better.
Wait, this was
wanna
nipple
get
gay?
yeah, I don't want to get canceled for real.
Yeah, just so you know, I'm not Justin Timberlake, and you're not Janet Jackson.
No wardrobe malfunctions here, okay? So yeah, like I said, it's been a bit of a
Yeah.
summer slide, but I think it's tradition. Like even when before the pandemic, when we were attending in-person services, in the summertime we would loosen up a little bit with our schedule, and sometimes we wouldn't go to church. Every single
don't
Sunday.
speak we, not don't we.
Okay,
not
no, we
we.
did attend every Sunday, but I think a couple of times in the summer might go to the
Not-
later service.
No.
I thought we were a little bit,
No,
yeah.
not we.
Not we, yeah.
Not we. No, really, babe.
Mhm.
You would be the one. You would loosen a bit in the
Yeah,
summer.
definitely in the
I
summertime.
like the So I think
Mhm.
for me, what I'm just really saying here, and I'm gonna stop at the we and take accountability in terms of me. I've noticed since it was my last trip.
Mhm.
So after I took that last trip, my work trip,
Right.
I have not returned to. It was a very long trip, so I was on the road for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And I haven't been able to return to the things that really feed my soul
Mhm.
in the same discipline, the same rigor versus. So I'm starting to have some.
Mm.
I'm noticing the effects of that on
Okay.
on my total.
Mhm.
All right, that's aside. We're here.
We're here. Yeah.
Yep.
So the learning this morning with our church, which is CCC Christian Cultural Center in Brooklyn. Shout out to our pastor, Pastor A.R. Bernard, and his son, Pastor Jamal Bernard, and Elder Pointer, and all the ministers there, and just everyone at CCC that makes our weekly service possible. There are people in front of the cameras, people behind the cameras, and we just want to express our appreciation, our gratitude for all of the moving pieces, all of the people involved with making Sunday service possible.
I'm going to shout out to the women because I noticed the
Mhm.
women were noticeably absent in your shout out.
Mhm.
So to
Okay.
A.R. Bernard.
That was an intentional, though. Mhm.
It's that's these things happen subconsciously.
Okay.
So, and I'm consciously looking out. So to A.R.
Yeah.
Bernard's wife, Pastor Karen Bernard, our First Lady,
Yes.
to Pastor PJ's wife,
Yeah, Lady Rita.
Lady Rita, and to just all the other Elder
To
Beverly and
yes.
all the other
Elder Lily Pointer, Minister Elder Pointer's wife.
right. So all the other
Mm-hmm.
the men and women, the
Mhm.
women and men,
Yes.
just the humans who
Yes.
make it possible for us to
Just show up and listen and learn.
and feast. Yeah, we get to show up and eat.
See, I keep adjusting this T-shirt. I guess this is what happens when you buy off-brand T-shirts.
Was this from the irregular pack?
Yeah, this might have been in a regular pack,
Wait.
and it's
Step forward.
inside out.
Step forward. No, it's not inside out.
It's not inside out,
That's what happens when you shop at Walmart.
Yeah.
Stop shopping at Walmart.
and especially in the discount bin. Shout out to everyone who's out there who shops in the discount bin. Yeah, that's me, brother. You know, there's a funny story about the discount bin, right? Now, I know
Babe,
this
let's
is way
do
off
it.
topic. This is way off topic. But back in the day when I think, and it just came to mind, I was talking about the discount bin, I think this might have been junior high school. Yeah, listen, I was really tall, skinny, big feet, and all that stuff in junior high school. So anyway, that's when Pumas was in. So Pumas was in. I wanted a pair of Pumas. My mom took me to Marshalls. My mom used to shop at Marshalls. You know, we put things on layaway when necessary. Shout out to my mom. Shout out to Marshalls with the layaway. So anyway, it was time to get a new pair of kicks, and so my mom took me to Marshalls. And she picked out my sneakers. She picked out some ponies. Y'all remember ponies from the discount bin? I remember they were navy blue ponies. They seemed like they were this big. And ponies were not popping then. They were a name, but they were kind of like Pro-Keds at that point. They were played out.
I heard Pro-Keds are bad.
Pro-Keds are back?
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, so yeah, my mom got me some huge sneakers from the discount bin. She says, listen, if you want anything more expensive than that, you got to buy your own. And truth be told, that was the last pair of sneakers my mom bought for me. So this must have been like early junior high. It must have been like the first year of junior high. Because after that, it was cutting lawns, shoveling snow, going to Jamaica Avenue, getting my own cakes, the flea market, all that. Okay, so that aside. Way off topic, but yeah. As soon as we said discount bin, it brought that memory to mind. Mhm. So now we were talking about
Today's service.
Today's service, yeah.
Yes.
Today's service was really, really, I think you used the word poignant. And it was a few things. So you want to
No, after you, my lord.
Yeah, right. Okay, sure. That means that she can't remember exactly what the message
Nope,
is about.
I have it.
So she
but I
wants me
want
to
you.
start it off to trigger her memory.
No. After you. You had a household.
Yeah, okay.
So after
Yeah,
you.
yeah, or like you said.
Huh?
We're not going to go there with that? Okay. All right, so Pastor talked about, I think, 4 things, as I remember them, 4 broad topics. All of them resonated with me. We talked about the father, the family, and the foundation for society. We talked about communications being the basis for life. We talked about balance being the key to life. And he talked about universal needs that all humans have, including the need for identity and acceptance. So those are the 4 broad themes. He went into each of them, and all of it I thought was impactful and practical.
Yeah. But the overall theme was, I believe, on fatherhood and the family, and a father's place in the family.
Yeah, that was a recurring theme. That was
yeah.
the central, the organizing theme.
Okay. So how did that land with you? You happen to be a father, and
Yeah, father of 3 amazing children. Adults now. Gosh, all 3 are adults. Wow. Yeah, so it's interesting, it all resonated with me because, fatherhood is a huge part of my identity, of how I see myself very much as a father, with all the responsibilities, with all the failures, all the anxieties, all the successes, all of what that entails. I embrace it all. I take fatherhood very seriously. So these teachings on fatherhood are something I pay very close attention to, and it's always timely for me. You know, as I said, having three adult children now, and just yesterday I was speaking to my firstborn, my beloved daughter, my oldest. Shout out to all of y'all, the TRDs. But you know, we were talking about part of I think what Pastor's message was, which communications. We were talking about vulnerability and how that gets modeled in the home, and as a result of how vulnerability, being vulnerable, being transparent, being candid, how it's modeled or not modeled in the family, how that impacts you both positively or negatively as you move through life. So yeah.
Yeah, the far-reaching and effects of that. I think for me, what resonated was the fact that it all begins at home, right? And we all know this. So in terms of what we then carry with us for the rest of our lives is often informed by the home. And I think in Pastor's message today, it was placing the father as the head of the household and his responsibility as ordained by God. Yeah?
Yeah.
So the father's responsibility, the husband's responsibility to that household. It gave me a new appreciation for the
Ooh, sorry.
idea of
Hitting the table.
of submission. I go back and forth with that thing, right?
Excuse me.
Especially in 2022. Just especially in, I don't know, since my adult life. The idea of submission is an interesting.
Yeah. Just the word itself, what it conjures up in our modern day Western society, right?
You see, like right there, I was speaking, so
Mansplaining.
you're right. He comes in.
Well, that's the role of the
felt,
father.
Okay. And right now, I'm
And the
trying to be.
husband.
And you're gonna stop cutting me off. Like right there, I can't be submissive no more. Like when you gonna just keep cutting me off like that? Like, okay. Right. I'm trying real hard with no, but it gave me an appreciation, an intellectual appreciation for where submission lies in under a covenant marriage and traditional family life. Yeah?
Mhm.
So, in that sense, respecting the role of the man as head of household and right. So, if as ordained by God, so then what does that mean for the woman? It doesn't mean as the submissive one, you roll over and do whatever the man says.
No, that
right?
has not been my experience.
No, I'm just saying how I see this thing intellectually.
And I'm saying that has not been my experience.
That no woman,
No,
yeah,
of course
right?
not. Of course not.
But I think it's respecting the fact that the man's role is as head of household is a covenanted. That's
Yeah.
not
Okay.
covenant?
Well, we'll make one up if it's not.
Okay.
We'll take
Covenant
license.
is a covenant relationship with
Mhm.
God. So first is his relationship, and when you're gonna step up to be, I love to say this, hoe,
Yes,
out of
that's one of her
household, right?
favorites.
When you gonna step
Quote
up,
unquote now. Okay, y'all. Don't
when
get it
you
twisted.
when you're gonna step up to be head of household,
Mhm.
you first have to be in relationship with God. Otherwise, you're
Yeah.
gonna abuse it. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
you're saying, God, I'm accepting this responsibility to
Guy. Oh, sorry.
shepherd or guide to guide my family.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean that as a woman,
Mhm.
I'm now saying, okay, that means I'm absorb the full responsibility,
No.
or if my husband says so,
Right. No.
I gotta do so. It means, okay, I respect your role and responsibility,
Mhm.
and what can I do to support you in that
Mhm.
role and responsibility
Right.
as you uplift us
Mhm.
in this role and responsibility.
Mhm.
It doesn't mean, I don't even want to get into working, not working, or any of that stuff.
No,
I'm just saying,
no,
yeah,
yeah.
That's what I,
Mhm.
for me, that's how I've internalized it,
Mhm.
or not so much internalized it, intellectualized it
Okay.
today. Which, in okay,
How does that differ from how you viewed it, 5 years when as you said today, when you as opposed to when you were younger, even pre-Christian, and maybe even earlier in your walk, in Christ.
oh, the submissive thing, it wasn't coming for me because I was never getting married, so I didn't have to be
Mhm.
submissive to a soul.
Mhm.
Then, as marriage started approaching, I toyed with the idea
Mhm.
of, oh, I'm going to be a submissive wife, but not really having an understanding of what that means.
That's
Um,
interesting. You use the word toy. Does it feel like that now, looking back, that man, I was just fooling around with the idea in my
when
head?
I say
Mhm.
toyed, because I didn't have a comprehension of it.
Mhm.
I didn't have, like, how now I have a fully developed thought or idea in terms of what it means.
Okay.
Then,
Mhm.
as I was approaching this marriage, I
Mhm.
didn't have a fully.
This marriage as opposed to another marriage.
This is my first marriage, okay? This is my first and only marriage.
Okay, well, I confess this is not my first. I'm kind of a veteran. I'm an expert at this, y'all. Let's just put it that way. Okay.
But this will be your last marriage.
I've
um,
had plenty of practice.
yeah, so I didn't go into it
Mhm.
with this framework.
Yeah.
So before, I would say toyed or was flawed in terms of my understanding of submission. I think I would probably more think of it as deferring to the man. So if you
Mm.
say, okay, we're gonna buy
Mhm.
this yellow bowl, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna be like,
Mhm.
okay, honey,
Mhm.
we'll buy this yellow bowl. No,
Mhm.
fully well, I want the blue one,
Mhm.
and this yellow bowl makes no sense.
Mhm.
That I was just gonna be like, oh.
Mhm.
No, so now I can sit in agreement,
Mhm.
disagreements,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And
We have some of those.
verbalize it
Mhm.
and not feel that I am defiling
Mhm.
or not being submissive. Submissive doesn't mean doty. Some
No,
women might be doty. That's just not who
Mhm.
God designed me to
for
be.
sure. Yeah. So, it's a huge responsibility, um, and I like the way that Pastor has, explained or, elaborated on part of the responsibility of what it means to be a father, what it means to be a head of household. As I understand it, he's talked about, three, two things. So, with the responsibility that you pointed out comes, accountability, and he made a really poignant. He said something really poignant, in that regard today. He says that men want responsibility, or men want authority, but men often don't want accountability.
Accountability, authority without accountability.
Accountability without authority, and
No,
that's huge.
this
Excuse me, authority
without
without accountability,
accountability.
and that's huge. And it's a huge issue in our nation today. It's a huge issue in our families today. It's a huge issue in our relationships. As you look through society, whether it's on the job, whether it's in your home, whether it's in your neighborhood, and even at the highest, levels of government, etc., there are so many leaders, and it's men and women, but we're talking about, he was emphasizing the role of the father, the role of the man in all of this. So our leaders, who are often men, mostly men, the fact is, they want the authority that comes with the position, whether it's elected office, whether it's your, boss, whether it's the husband in the home, whether it's the father, but they don't want the accountability that comes with that. And, so that's an issue. The other thing that he's talked about, I don't think so much today, but in past messages, in talking about, what it means to be a whole man, what it means to be a father, what it means to be a husband under a covenant, is that the husband has, has three among a husband or father's responsibilities are three things: to guide, to govern, to guard. So to guide with wisdom, to guard the home, guard the relationship, guard the family, and to govern, not to rule. He never said to rule. He said to govern. And the govern is set in how do you govern? You lead by serving. Jesus modeled for us. This is how I understood Pastor's teaching. These I'm not okay. So maybe you go back and you watch the tape, and this is not what Pastor
You said
Bernard has
tape.
said.
You can watch the tape.
I'm telling you
Back
how.
out your VHS.
Right. I'm telling you how I've interpreted these things over the years and how I try to apply them. Oftentimes coming up short. In fact, almost always coming up short. But then just always trying to learn and to apply it in a better, more practical, more effective way going forward. So guide, govern, guard, and it starts, leadership always starts with serving. That's what Jesus modeled for us. One of the ways that I think he epitomized that servant leadership role was when he washed the feet of his disciples, and he told them specifically that if he can, he was modeling that, and part of the lesson in that is that, greatness starts with service. So if he, as our Lord, our Master, our risen Savior, can bend down and wash the feet of his disciples, serving them, that's a model for us, is that leadership has to be balanced between leading and serving, but you have to serve the needs of the people, right, that you're called to lead first, rather than just trying to lead them.
And I think that's where that communications
And that's where the communications
and the
piece.
vulnerability,
Yeah,
being able
yeah.
to, and the communications is necessary,
Yeah.
right? So as head of household, as father, the communications is necessary,
Mm-hmm.
and part of the communications is to show vulnerability, right?
Mm-hmm.
The safety in the home to be vulnerable.
Yes.
And when you're talking about the govern part,
Mm-hmm.
it reminded me of my childhood, where the premise was do as I say, not as I do.
Mm-hmm.
So just, in that generation of growing up with these conflicting, you see one thing, but you got to do another thing, and
Yeah.
then you mirror that as you
Mhm.
get older. Where
Sure.
it's okay now, I'm adulthood. It's okay for me to do this thing, but you got to. It's okay for me to do whatever,
Mhm.
but you got to. You,
You, the younger one, you, the child, you, the nephew, you, the
whoever.
the niece.
It's what I
right.
say. It's what I say. My behavior don't have to
Mhm.
ladder up to it.
Mhm, mhm.
And now that's unacceptable.
Mhm.
No,
No.
your behavior
true.
definitely
Mhm.
has to ladder up to it.
Mhm.
And yeah, you can't lay hands on anybody like you were before.
Mhm.
So, yeah. Another thing that probably is a little left field
Mhm.
that
Yeah, because I want to return to that piece. But go ahead, go left field.
okay, so I'm gonna go left.
Mm.
In recapping towards the end of this week's service, he recapped last week where he brought in, last week's service was about choices.
Yeah,
And
the
so-
consequences, good and bad. Yeah.
Last week we discussed Roe versus Wade, right?
Mhm.
And we've been discussing that a lot, talking a lot about it, and the real, I think the clarity that came for me today
Mhm.
is really that's what it comes down to for me.
Mhm.
I believe I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice.
Yeah.
I don't want the government shouldn't predetermine what choices
Mhm.
women make.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So for that, I'm pro-choice, and I am pro-life.
That on the surface, that
Give
seems
me 1 second,
okay. Mhm.
and I'm going to say this publicly.
Mhm.
Having been someone who exercised my choice
Mhm.
not to bring to life,
Mhm.
I'm very much. So I come in here, I'm not innocent of anything.
Mhm.
I'm pro-life. I'm pro-choice. Let me live with the consequences. I live with the consequences. And so, yeah, that's what I want to see.
Yeah, I appreciate your vulnerability and that balance, because at first, just you don't hear, at least that's not a position I've heard anyone articulate that way in terms of pro-life and pro-choice. They seem mutually exclusive, and both sides oftentimes have gone to the extreme of the opposites of those positions. But I love the way you express that because it summarizes where I stand, and not that it matters really where I stand as a man, anyhow. I think have we as men have diminished standing here as far as I'm concerned. I think our role is to be supportive of where women stand on this issue. You know, the women that are most important to us in our lives, right? Well, I love the way you express that. Yes, I'm pro-life and I'm pro-choice. Let the individual woman decide. It's not up to the state to dictate what a woman can or can't do with her own body. And it's interesting because we've talked about this, and that there are no laws that we're aware of that dictate what a man can do with his reproductive organs. We're not aware of any. But you know, men in power, and it's mostly men again, feel that they have the right to dictate to a woman what she can and can't do with her body ultimately. And of course, you know, there's hypocrisy on all sides of this. You know, we've talked about how on one side people are very pro-choice about what can happen with a woman's reproductive rights, but and they want the government to take that stance. They want the government to take a pro-choice stance, but then in other areas of personal freedoms, they don't want the government to have a stance. They want to say, no, 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 leave it up to the individual there. When it comes to the woman's reproductive rights, we want the government to come down and make a decision, right? Siding with us. But in other areas of personal freedom, no, 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 keep the government out of that. And then on the other side, for the folks who are pro-life, it's the same thing. They want the government again to come down and make a decision supporting their side when it comes to being pro-life. But on other areas of personal freedoms, they say, no, 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 keep the government out of that. It should be my personal choice. So there's hypocrisy all around, and I'm not, you know, pointing out one side and placing more blame on the other. I'm just pointing out our humanity in all of this, because as human beings, we're hypocrites. All of us are hypocrites in different areas of our lives. Now, returning to what you were talking about with vulnerability and the safety in the home, and I was talking about, you know, the servant leadership that Jesus modeled before. I think a huge part of the lesson that Jesus taught out of that servant leadership example he gave his disciples when he washed their feet was the humility. Humility. And in order to be vulnerable, in order to create a safe space in a relationship, in a home, in a business, in anywhere, right? We need to be humble. And humility is, you know, that's another challenge for all of us as human beings. And certainly it's a challenge for me sometimes, you know, as an individual as well.
That's why I feel in submission. Submission is really in support of this person being head of household. Because if you support this person being head of household, you want their success, that person, the two of you are supposed to be a safe haven and have a safe space. So the husband is supposed to be able to be vulnerable to the wife and vice versa. Because if it's a safe space here, I support you. I see if it's an area of a challenge or whatever. It's the whole person that you see, not just, okay, me thinking that, okay, I've given up my rights to make decisions, so now I'm
right.
One second, please, let me finish my
I'm underscoring what you just said.
No, but you do that, you throw my
I throw
thought
you
out.
off, sorry about that.
It's not me or women giving up their ability to use the thing that God gave you, that gray matter that He gave you there, to support this person, or even to counsel this person.
Yeah.
Because then if you just leave everything for the person, this head of household, to the side, and you stop making decisions, not only is atrophy of the muscles, the brain muscle for you, but then this person can't be vulnerable with you
Right.
because I always have to be strong. I don't want somebody who's always strong and cannot. So yeah, like that was the thing for us. The need to don't come to me with I want to be in on the process of the solution.
Yeah.
Don't just come to me with the fully baked solution, because
Yeah.
then I don't know how you got there. I didn't see maybe the pain it caused for you to get there. So I have no appreciation of what it took for you to get there.
Yeah, you've made that point a few times in our marriage. It's been an area that I've been challenged in, and I think I'm growing in that area. And part of it has been humility, And yeah, you said some things that were really key, because one of the downsides of maybe that head of household role has been presented in past generations, and the submissive role has been presented in past generations, is that it was the man wasn't just governing, he was ruling. Right, he was ruling. And it was, to your point, it was do what I say, not what I do, and don't even question it. It was a very authoritative and patriarchal and condescending role, frankly. So that's a role that lacks humility. That's a role that lacks vulnerability. And part of the danger of that role, as you said, when in a relationship, when a woman cedes, well, we're talking about this, our context, but in any relationship, any partnership where one partner cedes all decision-making responsibility to the other partner, that's a very dangerous place to be. To your point about the atrophy that takes place in your ability to then make independent decisions, because you're not exercising those muscles, but it creates an imbalance in the relationship too. And imbalances aren't sustainable over time. If the relationship is imbalanced, it's going to fall. Anything that's out of balance is bound to collapse over time. And not only that, it's almost like idolatry, in a sense that you're looking to this person to make all the decisions. And we've seen time and time again in Scripture that God has a way of turning over idols, or allowing idols to be turned over, because He's the only one that we're supposed to look to for all the answers and all the solutions. And even in that relationship, He still tells us, even in that relationship, we're not to take it to the extreme. Even in that relationship, He tells us to study, to learn, to test, to grow. We're still supposed to exercise, as you said, the gray matter that He gave us. So yeah.
Sweet. This is very long.
It is. I think we need to wrap it up, because my eyes will start glazing over if we continue. Did we hit all 4 themes? We said the Father, at least how I took it: the Father, the family, and the foundation. Communications is the basis for life. Balance is the key to life. We all have basic human needs. They're universal, including identity and acceptance. We didn't get to the last ones, but that's okay. I think we're too long. Yeah, I think we're too long. Maybe we'll revisit that in the future. But yeah, that's all we got for you, folks. That's all we got.
Oh, we got a lot more.
Well, we
That's
got
all
a
we
lot
got
more.
for
Yeah,
you.
right. You want to take us out, love?
How am I taking you out?
I don't know. I don't know how we've gone out before.
Just say, just how we came in.
Just how we came in? Okay.
We're gonna roll out like that. They
Okay.
go.
All right. All right. So deuces, y'all.
No, that's it.
That's not how we. Oh, okay. We're gonna do
That's
the 1,
it.
2, 3. So 1, 2, 3. Until next time, we're out.